edition, one day closer to the weekend. Not the best trading day out there. There was some decent moves in some markets, but for the ones I was in, it was kind of boring out there today. I'll look at those markets, especially crude oil is the topic du jour. We talked about Facebook yesterday as well as the NASDAQ 100. But of course, we'll dive into a lot of other topics. Now, the question for today, or the show topic for today, and by the way, hope you all are doing fantastic. I'm not reading names out today, but hello, everybody, and wherever you are from. Shinobi Brian joining me today, huh? I didn't know you were in the UK. Huh. I guess you are. All right. This question came in, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to address it because it's one of the things about the financial markets that just drives me nuts. Now, I was always taught that it's efficient market theory. That's what it's all about, that the markets function because everybody has access to the exact same information at the exact same time. Hence, we have efficient market theory, to which I say, bull pucky. No way. Question from Lee was, Merlin, do you think that the markets are rigged? And I had to create this nice little graphic here. I thought you guys might appreciate that with a little Wall Street, New York Stock Exchange in the background. I'll save you a bunch of time and effort for those who want the answer, and for those who might be brand new to this show, hit subscribe button, by the way. The answer is, without argument, without question, with 100% certainty, the markets are rigged. Period. I don't care. And feel free to throw out any counter arguments that you feel strongly about, that you have in your head, that you think, hey, you know what? These markets are not rigged, and here's why. I would love to hear it. I certainly would love it, and keep it friendly, by the way. Let's not get antagonistic. But I'm going to put myself in the 100. There's not even a 1/10 of 1% chance that it's not rigged. It is 100% rigged. Now, does that mean that we can't make money in it? Absolutely not. We have plenty of opportunity. It's just knowing what some of these traps are. Now, I think I've mentioned before that you guys should absolutely watch this video. I'll put it over here. I can't play it because YouTube will kick me out and censor me to all kinds of crazy stuff. But type in market manipulation Jim Cramer, and you'll see one there. The video I have up right now is called Market Manipulation. Do you think this is fair? It happens every trading day. This video is incredible. Basically, what Aaron Task does is interviews the famous Jim Cramer, one of the more popular edutainers in the financial world. And by the way, his show is scripted. The questions that come in are scripted. It is not live at all, like this show is. And what he does in that program is rather interesting. He creates this illusion that he doesn't do this, but here's what hedge fund managers do. Bottom line is, if I'm managing money, and put yourselves in the position that you are in right now. Most of you are retail traders trading your own money, your own account. I want you to step that up and say, all right, let's add a few zeros to your account size. And now let's imagine you've got a $50 million trading account. You now have weight to throw around. So yes, you could be going out and doing what I'm doing, which is looking at supply and demand zones, looking for trends, looking technical analysis, maybe a sprinkling of fundamentals across the top there. But if you are small fish, that's easy to do. If you're a big fish and you have money to throw around, you need to get these trends moving in a bigger way. And what happens is you create a lot of connections. Now, of course, I don't think it's any surprise that Jim Cramer is extremely connected in the financial world. So in this video, Noam says, I watched the video, so sad and upsetting. Yeah, it's actually, it's sad, it's upsetting, but it's an eye-opener. And it's, again, it's one of those things like, is it dangerous to walk down the street at night? Yeah, sure it is if you're not prepared for it. You always need to be aware of your surroundings and what's going on. So essentially what Jim Cramer outlines is this. And the reason I bring this up is obviously the question from Lee, but I also received an email from a gentleman the other day which was looking at the crypto space. And the guy is doing the exact same thing that I'm going to paraphrase that Jim Cramer does. So Jim Cramer would say, when it gets to your quarterly earnings for these hedge funds, essentially what you need to do is you got to make the numbers match. Otherwise, people are going to leave your hedge funds. So what you do is you start to cook the books a little bit. What they'll do is, let's say you're net long on, I'll use Apple, for example. So let's say he's got a net long position. He'll go out there and just start sending out bogus information to the CNBC. I mean, he literally throws CNBC under the bus, and now he has a show on CNBC. It's incredible. He talks about the Wall Street Journal, the bozo reporter at the Wall Street Journal. He's basically utilizing all of these people who are at the front of media. So you see influencers on social media, you see people on CNBC, Fox, and Bloomberg. Those are all reporters or people hungry to share information. They're starving to be the first to market. So if I can come out with a story that sounds very appealing, and I can say something like, hey, listen, man, I've got an inside track here that Apple is going to be 6 months late with the next iPhone version, and that's going to totally crush their earnings going forward in the next quarter. If I can get that to a reporter at CNBC and get them to talk about it on air, great. In order to create urgency, though, I'm going to go out to 15 other or 20 different connections I have and give them that same story. I'm going to foment. I'm going to create an impression about a company that may not be true whatsoever. Technically, that's illegal. However, I think most would see that the SEC is not the most competent at their jobs. I'll probably get some heat from the SEC for that one, but it doesn't seem like they are going after the right people. They always seem to target somebody who's very small because, the SEC and the Fed, I would argue, are together with the Treasury, and of course the Fed is made up of member banks. So let's not go after the banks like Goldman Sachs, Merrill Lynch, JP Morgan, all these guys. Let's go after the small guy, the little retail investor, and screw him first and leave the big guys alone. That's essentially what's happening. So we'll talk about how you use this market to manipulate the stock markets using media. Now, the article I received the other day was talking about how this one guy had a firm, and basically if he had a net client and said, hey, we missed that last run on Dogecoin. Can you do something about it? They'll go out and they'll issue a whole bunch of press releases, bogus press releases, that how Dogecoin's, the back end's falling apart, it's a scam, blah, blah. Whatever stories need to be pushed in the media to create this negative impression to get people to sell their Dogecoin so his client can buy back in. Now, you couple that with somebody who might have $50 or $100 million, you could actually go out there and further influence those securities to the south side or north side, depending on your objective, and further manipulate people. Does it go on? Without a doubt, it goes on. I mean, anytime somebody's issuing a story to CNBC or Fox, there's an ulterior motive there. These guys are not going out and saying, wow, I really care about the well-being of Apple. Let me do my due diligence and go talk to the people at Apple. Hell no. I've got a tip from somebody who told me that this is going to happen. We played this game in school, right? When you were in 3rd or 4th grade, it was called telephone, where you say something into the person to your left, and by the time it gets around in the room, it's always something completely different because everybody adds a little bit to it, and we all want to make it more sensational. That is the financial world. So as I say that the financial markets are rigged, first off, you got to know you're playing against some of the most powerful, shrewd businessmen and women on earth, whether it's the ARK Fund or Jim Cramer or Cathie Wood, any of these people, they all have massive money behind them. It's big, big money. They have more power than you and I. So what are some other ways they can do it? Certainly the Jim Cramer video should open a lot of, or set off some light bulbs for many of you. But there are a lot of other ways these markets are manipulated every single day. And one of the things I used to do when I was starting out is I was always glued to specific websites that would show me data by the big institutions. Now, let me rewind for you. Let me rewind for you my trading history. So I started off on the floor, back on the trading floor in the late 90s, 98 to be precise. It was June 1st when I took my first class with on the Trading Academy. And on that floor, they had CNBC up on that screen every single day. It was just what you did. I also had a computer where I was looking for earnings announcements because on TV, they talk about this company issuing an earnings announcement or this company issuing an upgrade and downgrade. My favorite was to watch for upgrades and downgrades. Back in the late 90s, we had level 2 data, and I could see Goldman Sachs buying or selling. I could literally identify them. Why? Because in the level 2 screen, you had a thing called a market MPID, Market Participant ID. It's a 4-digit code which told you who was posting these buy or sell orders. It's just how transparent things were back in the late 90s. And because it was so new, these institutions had no interest in masking their intentions because they didn't think anybody was watching. Yet I was. So what would happen was a firm like Goldman Sachs, whose ticker or MPID number was GSCO, or Merrill Lynch was MLCO, you knew all of them. They became my fraternity of trading buddies, essentially. If I were to see an upgrade, and of course, you guys see this every single day. There are these big firms like Goldman Sachs issued some upgrades and downgrades today. They're going out there and saying, let me put on my nice suit and tie and look all professional. Our analysts have done the due diligence, and we have tons of researchers who have looked at the financial information, and we believe that this stock, which is currently trading at $20, our price target for that is now $30. Okay, great. What they're not telling you is they probably built a massive net long position on the trading desk and need that thing to go higher so they can unload it. So what happens is the retail people get this upgrade and they see the price target from 20 to 30. You're telling me this stock's going to jump 50%? Hell yeah, I'm buying. So the sheeple run out there off this upgrade and downgrade, and they, without doing any due diligence, without looking at a price chart, they'll just go ahead and buy these securities because, hey, Goldman must know what they're talking about. They gave it an upgrade. I'll ask you, and I don't need you, you can type it in the chat if you want. You know the answer. When those upgrades were issued, who do you think was on the ask selling? The ask is called the offer, which is the limit prices where you can put your sell orders. All day long, I would see GSCO at the top of the ask column selling. And I'm like, wait a minute, didn't you just tell everybody that you were upgrading this thing from 20 to 30? And their argument is legit. They can go, well, hey, look, we did. We said from 20 to 30, it's now trading at 30. So we're selling. So they're just creating this fake impression about a company based off their research. It happens all the time. So the first thing I'm going to be looking for is this. All press releases and upgrades and downgrades, right? I switched them around here, but upgrades and downgrades, I love it. And unfortunately, guys, today, you can't really go out there and see the institutions selling on level 2 anymore because Goldman is not using GSCO. He's using ARCA, as are thousands of other people. ARCA or EdgeX, these are electronic networks that these institutions use. They kind of hide behind them anonymously, just like I do. But unfortunately, that's just the way that it is. So that, for me, was an eye-opener. And I learned that way before I ever saw this Jim Cramer video. You just you got to know right away that if somebody's telling you to do something, generally there is an ulterior motive, especially in the financial world. So you have to know that going in. And I'm mentioning some of the big names here, but look in your personal lives as well. And I hate to put your friends and family on the spot, but if somebody's out there telling you, hey, you know what? You should go buy this stock right now. What do you think they're telling you that for? I'm willing to bet you that they probably have a vested interest in you buying that stock, right? I'm going to pump it up. Who was it? Some social media guy today. Was it Wiz Khalifa? One of these, talentless rappers that's out there posted a tweet saying, hey, you got to check out this new cryptocurrency. It's going to go to the moon, blah, blah, blah. But he copy and pasted something, and actually underneath it said, and if we get $240,000 worth of funding, we'll give you $24,000. So basically, this guy knows jack shit about this this cryptocurrency. He's literally copying, pasting from some marketing agency who's doing just what Jim Cramer does, posting on his social media because he's got millions of followers, and all those idiots buy this stupid cryptocurrency which serves no purpose or utility, and he's getting $24,000 for it. Markets aren't manipulated, people, not at all. Let's all play the game. Pepper says, you had a couple of different questions here. You redacted it and put it back. Won't they, let me go to the second one here. If they're all bogus, why does anyone listen to them? Now, you can't call them all bogus, right? Financial firms are a necessary evil at this point. As we progress, and I'll be talking more about decentralized finance here as the show grows and progresses, we will start to move away from this system where we rely on a JP Morgan, a Morgan Stanley, Wells Fargo Bank. We're moving away from the need to rely on them. But it's just what we've been taught. I don't care where you live or what how you grew up, you were all taught that you need to save money. You need to invest. You need to prepare for retirement. And then, of course, in parallel with that, we are going, how do I invest or save money for retirement? Oh, I'm going to go to a financial advisor because they've got training, they've got experience, they've got education. They're smarter than me. I say BS to only one of those, that they're smarter than you. That is BS. Most of these guys that work for these firms are trained salespeople. They're basically telling you what to buy, and they're given a script to promote that to you, and they're literally reading from a script saying, hello, Mr. Rothfeld, we think you should buy, blah, blah. They're reading a script, guys. If you watch Boiler Room was a drama, I think an exaggeration, but this still happens every single day on the retail level. Banks, financial firms are a necessary evil until we get DeFi, decentralized finance, established, then we won't need them anymore. So, why does anyone listen to them? Because that's what the mass population has been told to do. I'm sure most of you already know this stuff because you've been involved in financial markets or with Online Trading Academy, or the real traders know this stuff. For some of you, it might be completely eye-opening at this point, going, I didn't know this existed. Well, think of where you are at right now. You're in a very tiny little ecosystem of financial world. I'm literally a pinprick, maybe just, well, I won't mess with the words there. I'm a pinprick in the world of finance. My opinions don't matter to Goldman or JP Morgan. They have tens of millions of clients. I've got 3,000 followers. You think I'm making a difference and really creating awareness out there? I don't think so. I'm not like Wiz Khalifa or whoever it is who's got millions of followers. I might have a different impact on the financial markets if that was the case. So the other part that Pepper says, won't there be competing stories as people try to rig in the opposite direction? Potentially, yes. But remember, for the most part, financial firms are trying to get these stocks as high as possible, right? That's their net long bias for most financial firms. Hedge funds are a bit different because now a hedge fund can be going short. But remember, mutual funds, they're net long, right? Unless specifically identified, they can't short. And I think recently you have seen some contra funds, but for the most part, Tom, I love it. He says, come on, Merlin. They are fiduciaries and have letters behind their name. You know what those letters and numbers mean? Does anybody, I'm going to ask you, just curious, does anybody in this room right now have a Series 7 license? A Series 7. If you do, just type in yes. If you don't, just type in no, whatever. It helps the metric when chat goes flying by. So he's typing yes or no if you have a Series 7. I was asked, so I have my Series 55, which is a registered investment advisor, and then pulled it. I didn't want it anymore because I didn't want to be deemed as a professional, and I didn't want to be an investment advisor. I'd rather share information, let people make their own decisions. When you get to a Series 7, a lot of people look at that and go, wow, you're a professional, right? You have a Series 7? Wow. It's this mythical number out there in the financial world that people look at it as like, this guy knows his stuff. A Series 7 is simply a license that tells you, and I'm not exaggerating, anybody here who has one will agree with me, it specifically tells you what you can do and say to your clients without going to jail. That's essentially all a Series 7 is. It's not, hey, how do I trade better? It's not what is all the different analysis. It's really, what can you say without getting arrested and busted? That's pretty much what a Series 7 is. Now, there are different licenses, but that's why the SEC wants these licenses in place, is to protect the consumer. None of those licenses make you a better investor. They don't make that person more educated about how shorting works or how supply and demand zones work or upgrades and downgrades and earnings. All it says is, here's what you can say, thread that, toe that line, and not get thrown in jail. That's a Series 7. So I don't want a Series 7. I mean, I know what I can and cannot say. I'm not making promissory or anything out there. You mean it's not not a Beamer? So don't put your emphasis and believe that these guys are better than you, but the most people believe they are. Yep, it's mostly compliance, exactly. It's really, compliance is a nice way of saying, what can you say without going to jail? I just think it sounds more raw and true when I put it that way, because that's essentially all it is. I mean, these guys know if they say something that now they are on the line, they could potentially get arrested, could get fined, etc. So don't believe licenses. I believe personally, and just judging by what you guys know and the way you interact with me, most of you are smarter than your average your average Series 7 license holder, right? You know how markets work and you understand that. So don't fall for it. And that was going back to the question earlier from, who was that one from? From Pepper saying, won't there be competing stories out there? Well, yes, there may be competing stories, but it's easy for a reporter to go, oh, no, that story didn't happen, and just back away from it or just let that one die on the vine. But they want to get some sort of sensationalism on their air and be the first to market to rush a story. We see lots of movies about this too, where a reporter will rush to get a story out without looking at all the details because they don't want, if you're late, you're going to be second in the list for the story. And all of a sudden you are going to have your second fiddle. There's a great movie on Netflix. It was called, I think it's called The Deadliest Games. It's a story about the Atlanta Olympic bombing. Fantastic example of exactly this. Reporters were given some information, but they made up information about this guy so they could be first to market and completely destroy this guy's life. I mean, that's just a consumer version, not even financial world stuff. So it happens all the time. Merlin, you just heard mass retailers in the Robinhood Army expect hate mail coming soon to you. Please do. I mean, obviously, I don't like hate mail, but if it's constructive, I'll always take hate mail. All right, let's see. So what you're saying is go long on Shiba Inu. Oh yeah, right. Yeah, load the boat on that one. It's so funny. There's a lot of people that are now calling themselves part of the Shibu army. It's like they should change it from a Shiba Inu to a jackass. And you know what? You could pretty much just do this one. There you go. We'll throw the donkey of the day on just so we can have the Shiba Inu holders. But hey, you know what? They could make a bunch of money. That thing could go sky high and then come crashing back down. But bottom line is right now that's a bunch of garbage behind it. Okay, so what other ways can people manipulate it? Press releases. Unfortunately, for most of this stuff, we're going to get caught off guard as retail investors. And it's happened to me a ton of times. It's going to happen to all of you where you go, let's say, net long on a stock. Call it stock ABC. Doesn't matter what it is. And you've got all the technicals are in your favor, fundamentals are in your favor, and things look great. And then Goldman comes out and downgrades the stock because, well, they missed their earnings last quarter. And you're like, well, yeah, we knew they missed their earnings last quarter. Why are you downgrading it now? And all of a sudden it drops, 10, 15%. These are things you can't get around. So let me show you a couple examples here. I actually brought up some upgrades and downgrades today. And there you go. I'll check that one out. Yeah, the Richard Jewell one was, I felt horrible for Richard Jewell. I really did. I had no idea that he was just run through the dirt that bad. It's embarrassing for the FBI. I don't know how. Apparently, it was pretty true. If you haven't seen that one I'm talking about, it's called The Deadliest Games, and it's about the Atlanta Olympic bombings. The FBI looked like the most incompetent organization on the planet, except for a couple good people in there. But again, people want to make a name for themselves. They rush to conclusions, and they railroaded this poor guy. I actually went and watched the 60-minute interviews, and they tried to do everything exactly the way that it was. I looked up to see how historically accurate it was. It was pretty amazing. All right, let me move on. So if you want, you can just go type in upgrades and downgrades in Google or whatever browser you decide to use. Here's one that I was looking at. This is from MarketWatch. You just go there, click their upgrades and downgrades. This is just today, guys. All these financial firms are out there doing a lot. So Goldman Sachs issued an upgrade on Occidental Petroleum. RBC Capital issued an upgrade on Ford. All right. And then you have to also just think, what the hell's wrong with you? All right. So you look at Ford. My guess is, let's just take it. Without looking at a chart. Nobody look at a chart of Ford. Of course, some of you might know what happened with Ford. But wouldn't you think that right now, if you're a big financial firm that people rely on the ratings for, wouldn't you think you should issue an upgrade on Ford? Right? You should have already had it in about 6 months ago. Knowing that Ford was coming out with a Lightning truck, knowing that it was going to be maybe a serious competition for Tesla going forward. By the way, if you haven't seen the new Ford Lightning, it's badass. I want one. I want one badly. But you would think that would be a logical choice. So you can see there that RBC Capital upgraded Ford Motor. Now, unfortunately on this page, it doesn't tell you what their targets are. I couldn't find the one that I used to use. It's gone now. But it would tell you what they're raising their target to. So let me go and just show you what's happened with Ford. And this is why you always look at the markets. So you're telling me that today at $14, they issued an upgrade. Really? Where were you back at $5 or $6 or $8 or $10? I mean, to me, this is basically, it feels like RBC needs to pump it up a little bit more so they can unload their positions, right? It seems like this is way overextended. This looks like reversal time for me for Ford. Now, there's no supply zone on this time frame that I'm looking at, but look at the volume. Average volume is 74 million shares per day. We're at 267 today. We were about 200 yesterday. Money's pouring into this. Eventually, there won't be more money to pour in, and this thing will come crashing back down. But the point I'm trying to make here is you've got this upgrade way late into a bull run. What about Occidental Petroleum, OXY? You see the gap up on Occidental Petroleum. This one, it's not that big of a deal. It's just a symmetrical triangle or a pennant formation that's just, for me, looking like it's ready for a breakout. But I would... Steven says targets are usually in FinViz. Let me check out FinViz here real quick. I stopped looking at upgrades and downgrades because I just felt it was overly manipulated, V-I-Z. Overly manipulated, but let me see if I can find it in there. And scroll down. Should have been right there. Oh man, there's so much going on this site. It's almost, here you go. Earnings releases, insider trading. Oh, well, I'm going to have to do this on another show, but I don't know where the upgrades and downgrades are. All right, let me get out of there. I'll fall down that rabbit hole and I won't finish my stories here. But so the upgrades and downgrades, earnings announcements are another place that they do this on a regular basis. Now, there's nothing that we can do about it. All we can do is get stopped out if we get stopped out and just chalk it up to a loss in the marketplace and move on to the next trade. Unfortunately, that's all we can do with regards to market manipulation. I made a point, which is kind of funny. I got some serious blowback, and it's interesting when you go to when you talk politics. And obviously, my goal in this program, I'm not here to polarize any of you. I don't care whether you're Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservative, independent, tree hugger, makes no difference to me. I really don't care about it. I don't want the opinions. I want to just talk about markets. But I made the point, I think it was 2017 on Power Trading Radio, maybe 2018, when we were seeing these crazy announcements. I mean, one of the biggest influencers that I've ever seen in my life, other than Elon Musk now, was Donald Trump. And Donald Trump on one day would say, we're really working towards a trade deal with China. Things are looking good. And 3 days later, we're raising tariffs. It's looking terrible. I'm going to bump tariffs to 40%. And I made this comment, and it doesn't make a difference whether it's Trump or Biden or Powell. Who cares? It's just using that power structure. If I was in that situation and I lacked moral fiber, which I have a lot of moral fiber, so it couldn't happen, but could I be using that to make myself filthy rich? The answer is yes. However, it's also no at the same time. I could be doing it, but I would be under so much scrutiny by the SEC, I would probably get busted for insider trading. If I was telling people to buy something, for example, if I knew that I'm going to tweet out tomorrow that we are going to come to a deal with China and things look great, I know the market's going to pop 2, 3, 4%, like it did every time he mentioned it. If I went and bought calls on the S&P, or I bought long S&P futures, or I just bought SPY and loaded the boat with my account and then sold it the next 2 days before I issue a negative announcement, the SEC is going to get me. However, what could I do? So let's say that you guys are all friends of mine and we meet for lunch one day, right? We fly into Southern California. I pay all of you to fly to Southern California. We get a nice room, rooms. We're not getting all in one room. Don't get excited. I buy you all suites at Monarch on the beach out here. We have nice lunches. We have nice dinner. Everything's great. And I make you leave all your cell phones, anything electronic in your room, and we all go for a walk down the beach. And I say, listen, if you ever hear me say the word, you can give me any word. If I tweet out the word huge, every time I tweet the word huge, load the boat on the market. I don't care what you buy everything, because I'm going to issue a tweet shortly after that, probably a day after, that will be a big pump. And if you ever hear me say the word, what's another one use? China. No, I can't use China. So we got huge as the pump up. If I use the word great. If I use the word great, then that means sell everything and go short. Think about this. So now I'm president of the United States with millions of followers who will do anything I say, pretty much. Or at least, anyway, we'll go down that path. I now issue a tweet and I say, we have some news coming out on China, which is going to be huge. Now that obviously is going to pump the market a little bit. Or maybe I don't even say China. We're working on a huge celebration at the White House. How about that? That's not going to move the markets at all. We're going to have a huge celebration at the White House. You all hear that, and you go personally load the boat. There's no connection there. They're not going to see us sending anything back and forth. No messages, no emails, no nothing. It's our secret code. So what do? You load up. 4 days later, I go, the party at the White House was great. You now know to unload everything that you have and short the hell out of the market. 2 days later, I say, I'm slapping 40% tariffs on China. Does that sort of insider information happen? Yes, it does. There is unwritten code. There you go. Keyword fake news is by the market. And think. I don't want to make this an anti-Trump thing. It's not an anti-Trump thing. Please, let's not start that thing. But there were a lot of people that were thinking about Trump. You know, Biden, does he know how to use Twitter? I mean, Sorry, now I'm not going political. But anybody who has that kind of power, think what Elon Musk is doing. When he goes on his little stoner binges and starts tweeting all about Shiba coin or Dogecoin, did he just buy millions of it? A lot of people are speculating he's now this secret whale in Dogecoin. They're trying to find out who this whale is, and it sounds like it could actually be Elon Musk. He knows that people are following his tweets. I mean, he moves the market in crypto like nothing else, and he has the ability to manipulate it like crazy. It happens all the time. So, going back to our original discussion before I go way too off track and get too long-winded on here, are the financial markets rigged? Yes, they all are. I don't care whether you're trying to buy a stock, an option, a futures, a forex. This market is going to be manipulated by thousands and thousands and thousands of people who have a lot more money than you and me. If you want to watch the movie The Big Short, I would encourage you to check that one out. There's a scene in there where we look at ratings agencies who are supposed to have ethics and really evaluate these companies' credit worthiness, because that's how I'm making my investment decision when I'm looking at buying their bonds or loans or anything like that. So the credit rating should be as fair and honest as possible. Well, the big firms were simply paying the ratings agencies to give the bonds ratings. Keep it a AAA. That's fraudulent, right? Why did no one go to prison for that? Because they have more money than you and me. If it was me, I'd have gone to jail. So unfortunately, guys, this stuff happens all the time. Again, does it mean that we shouldn't trade? Does it mean we should run away from the financial markets all scared? No, not at all. Just know that there's going to be times where you get caught on the wrong side of someone's bogus news release to CNBC, which causes it to skyrocket and it goes against your position. It just happens. The key for me anyway is when these things happen, I have to jump ship and get out and move into a trade that hopefully I can ride and stay in long enough before somebody comes in and manipulates that thing. That's why I'm going off of levels. I'm going off of where has price actually turned. To me, that's something that I can anticipate versus trying to anticipate when Jim Cramer is given some fake news from somebody pumping a stock on his show, which has all the retail investors clamoring to buy it or clamoring to sell it. His buy thing. I mean, it's crazy. If you, John O'Donnell and Eyal Shahar were actually visiting CNBC, and they said there's a room right there where people are in there making phone calls. And it's, hey, this is Bob in Kansas. Booyah, Jim. I'm great to be here. And let me read my scripted question for you. So you had all week to prepare, because there's no way in hell you're going to know right on the spot all the fundamentals of stock XYZ. Doesn't happen. It's scripted. Now, if I worked for CNBC, just hypothetical. If I was one of the writers for CNBC and I knew that the big story on Jim Cramer's show today is going to be about Nikola, on how we think you should go long Nikola and pump that thing up, wouldn't it be in my best interest maybe to leak that out to a couple of my friends and say, hey, you might want to stock up on some Nikola because we're going to be pumping that thing tomorrow and it's going to jump 10, 12, 15%. That's great. Okay. Sorry, guys. Did you still watch CNBC? I do not watch CNBC for anything. No, I do not. Ever since I got kicked off of CNBC back in 2008, no interest. The funny thing is, I think I will be back on CNBC soon. I don't know why I would ever agree to that, but yeah, I have a feeling I may actually be doing some TV appearances for Online Trading Academy, and that may include going back on CNBC, which I really don't want to, but sometimes in this industry you got to do things you don't really necessarily want to do. All right, what else we got? Need to track politicians' options plays before they hit the headlines. Yeah, and you know what? It's sad. There was some regulation about this came through, but it's still not bulletproof. When it comes to insider trading, our congressmen and our senators can do it. They're allowed to. Now, there's supposed to be blind trust now, but come on. For the longest time, they could literally be on a this was one that Nancy Pelosi... was it Nancy Pelosi? No, it wasn't Pelosi. Maybe it was Pelosi. So long ago, I can't remember. It was one of them. She was on this panel. It was a credit reform panel, and her vote was the deciding vote to basically talk about credit card reform. I mean, let's be honest. Do credit card companies really need to charge people 29%? To me, that's usurious. That is ridiculous. It should not happen. Okay, 10, 12%, fine. Maybe 15, but 29%? That's almost criminal in my opinion. Loan sharkers, they can come back and break your knees. She was the deciding vote on this bill, which would have really cut the limits on how much credit card companies could charge. She voted against it, and surprisingly, she was invited in on the IPO of Visa. If you haven't seen the IPO of Visa, let me go and show you the chart of Visa here, which will, I mean, I think she made the right trade, but you look at what it did for the people. Was it in the best interest of the population, or was it in the best interest of their pocketbook? This is the chart of Visa, and I think this is actually its full history of Visa's IPO. Let me make sure I got the full history on it for you. It's a pretty amazing one. I think that's it. Yep, so it IPO'd back in 2008. And it's probably done a split adjusted, but it looks like it IPO'd. It opened up at $16.39. It's currently trading at $226. Nice decision. So some politician got rich off of that insider trading information because she knew she was going to vote in favor, against credit card reform, which would have done well for Visa and MasterCard, and she was given a perk for it. That to me is corruption at the highest level, but sadly, it's legal for them to do it. Terrible. Let's see, what else do I got here? Go on Maria Bartiromo. Yeah, I like Maria Bartiromo. She was all right. She was the superstar back when I was getting started back in '98. I liked her back then. Market going down. History doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes. Agreed. Although, let's look at that since I'll wrap things up here. And again, if you have any comments, questions, feel free to send them in. I am still short the. I'm still short on my NASDAQ. Well, I just bought puts, so it's not like I'm really going to do anything for a couple weeks. But you see here, we'll start at the top and work our way down. This is the Russell 2000. Again, that yellow box, I think, is very telling. We are coming up towards that 2,300 level on the Russell. Moved nicely today, but still, it's in the middle of the yellow box. No man's land. So I would say just leave it alone. Now, moving down, crude oil. Crude oil is very interesting, guys. We are right at that top line. That top line has been there for quite some time, right around $67. We closed today on crude oil at, where did I close? Oh, it doesn't give me that one. 66.86 is where we closed. We had a high of 66.92, so 8 cents short of that $67 mark. That ascending triangle is strong. It's still intact, and it looks real strong to me. I'm going to say this because I want you guys to be careful with this one. Next week, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's Tuesday, you have OPEC meeting. Now, this thing has been getting compressed right at that $67 mark. Any announcement from OPEC on Tuesday could cause this thing to scream down or up. It's one of the breaking point. I don't think that it's going to stay in this range any longer in that symmetrical triangle based off what's going to happen with the OPEC meeting next week. So be careful if you guys are jumping on that one. S&P 500 rallying, still coming right towards those all-time highs. It looks good, but if you look at the pattern, we've got this broadening formation. We're in the upper portion, but still kind of just sideways. Now, there's the NASDAQ. We are still holding today. It's actually moving up now a little bit in the after hours, but you can see we've got these 3 little spinning tops here. I'll zoom out so we make it much clearer. This actually is what's considered a hanging man formation. Steve Nissen says it's a reversal pattern, but I don't buy it. I really don't think that that's a reversal pattern, but we'll see. I thought it was doing rather well today. We were showing some weakness on the NASDAQ, but it ended up pulling up near the end and getting just about to break even. 10-year. A little bit of a down move today, which means those yields are moving up, but nothing overly noteworthy. Gold also showing a little bit of weakness, but nothing that's, again, overly scary here at all with regards to gold. And then Bitcoin, well, the volatility continues. You see that the last 3 days, notice that you have these long topping tails. It's tried to rally for the last 3 days, over 40,000. It just keeps getting pushed back down. That's not a good sign for anybody who is bullish on crypto space like myself. I'm definitely bullish on it, but it's not a good sign for Bitcoin as we speak. It was one of the weaker ones today. Okay, with all the trillions of dollars sloshing around, I doubt the market is going down for any length of time. That's true. What's it going to take, I think, is the big question to stop the party from going on. We are seeing, earnings today were just phenomenal. I don't know if you guys saw some of those earnings. They were great. I'll bring it up for you. Here is today's earnings calendar. Look at those percentage beats. Salesforce beat by 37%. And I say beat by 37%, so for those of you on the podcast who aren't watching the screen, Salesforce was estimated to come out at 88 cents worth of earnings. They came out at $1.21. Therefore, the beat was 33 cents or 37%. They were up 5% after that news. You had Viva Systems beat earnings by 16%. Costco beat by 20%. Best Buy beat by 53%. Medtronic beat by almost 6%. And then down there at the bottom, I was making a joke about it yesterday, but hey, got to get all dolled up and get back out to those bars and nightclubs. Ulta, 113% earnings surprise today. So, You hear my dog barking. Someone decided to ring the doorbell. So that was today. So that's been pretty much every day for about the past week. Their earnings get better and better and better. So, yo, it's all right, buddy. Stop barking. Didn't realize my dog's going to go crazy on you guys. Come here. Come here. Come over here. They want to see you. Get over here. Come here. Come on. Come on. Up. Up. Come on. You're on camera. There he goes. You guys get to see my buddy. Give me a kiss. There you go. Yes, that's my big security system. All right, let me go back and wrap things up here for today. We'll go back to that economic calendar. As far as other things that went on, we did have this nice unemployment number, right? You guys saw that. The unemployment claims dropped from 444 to 406, but look down here at durable goods orders. The durable goods orders was the interesting one. Negative 1.3% for durable goods orders. Dog was barking for 127%. Yeah, that's not a good sign to see that drop out. Remember, transportation is a major part of this. So they almost seem like they're backwards. So notice here, you've got durable goods orders and core durable goods orders. All right. So the durable goods orders, that includes transportation. And notice that dropped 1.3%, negative 1.3. But the durable goods orders, which takes out transportation, was up 1%. That means that the transportation segment was doing very good over the last month. Very, very good. So concerning to see durable goods not perform so well when you include energy. My dog was not saying bye, Dogecoin. All right, this is what we have economic calendar-wise for tomorrow. Not a ton for the rest of the world. We do have for the U.S., though, goods trade balance, personal income and spending, wholesale inventories, and consumer sentiment, as well as Chicago PMI. So a busy day for the U.S. None of these are monster movers, in my opinion, but nonetheless, 5:30 in the morning, 1 hour before the markets open, you should have most of those announcements out. All right, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think that did it. All right. Cool. Yes, guys, someone was asking for the dog, so we got to see the dog. There we go. All right. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that one about is the market rigged. I 100% believe that it is. If you have any evidence that says that it's not, I'd love to see it. But just from what I've seen, not only from my retail floor experiences and just watching how people manipulate on that trading floor was amazing. I got some great stories that maybe I'll just... It's in the book. I just can't finish that damn book. It's tough. Now, Dogecoin. I thought it was funny you guys mentioned that one. Dogecoin. You guys remember a while back when this thing was, I think it was 7 cents and 8, 9, 11 cents when it was real cheap. We're saying it's garbage. It's crap. It's a scam, not a scam coin. It's a meme coin, right? It's a shit coin. It doesn't do anything. And I said there's really no development going on with it. And I also made the comment that, if Elon Musk, somebody like Elon Musk, was to step up and use his power and his influence and create an organization that actually could write the code, Elon could get this implemented in many areas of our economy, and all of a sudden it may actually be the transactional one. The big challenge right now for Dogecoin is it is proof of work, which is one of the arguments against Bitcoin. It'll probably migrate to proof of stake, but over the long haul, does Dogecoin have viability to potentially be the one? It does, actually, especially when you have Elon Musk in its corner promoting and saying, hey, programmers, come to this place on GitHub. So now he's promoting all his developers to come to GitHub and start working on Dogecoin. So, if you see some pretty significant drops in Dogecoin, you might want to buy a little bit of it. It could be one of those things that long term actually ends up being pretty damn popular and powerful. Hard to believe I'm actually saying that Dogecoin could actually be something. But when you get a real businessman, an entrepreneur, a driver with the clout that Elon has, anything is possible, and he is certainly pushing it. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me for today. Wow. I'm 15 minutes early. Perfect. It's a gorgeous day. I'm going to go for a walk out at Back Bay with my German Shepherd, who now he's got my attention. He's just staring at me. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope you learned something out there today. If you have somebody who believes the markets are not rigged, point them to this show. You can always email me. You can email me at TraderMerlin@gmail.com, and I will, I'll do my best to respond to all of them. I have no guests on the show tomorrow, so I will be doing drinking all alone in studio or having a nice cold cocktail with you that decided to join me. If you like today's show, give me a thumbs up. Again, any positive or negative feedback, email me or put it down below the video. That will do it for today, everybody. Happy trading. Be safe on Friday. I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.